everyone that was waiting on the cream cheese. It's sorry.
Okay. Whoa. April, can you call Scott and tell him I just emailed the newsletter to him? There he is. There he is.
I just didn't see it buried in the newsletter. My apologies.
Okay, I see Kayla. Hello, Bob. I didn't know that you were going to drive in. I'm glad you did. Okay, as everybody knows, we're going to get started. As everybody knows, we are meeting today in person at Lawson State Bessemer campus. Wonderful conference room. Thank you everyone for Zooming in who is here, and certainly for those who are on campus at Lawson. We're gonna get started, and we don't have a lectern, which is fine with me. I get to sit down as I bloviate, but I'm gonna ask Kayla Kyle to be our first presenter. Kayla is with the Alabama Department of Veterans Affairs. She is Alabama GI Dependent Scholarship Program. And she is going to tell us about recent changes with that program. Kayla, particularly as they relate to private colleges, is that accurate?
That is correct. Yes, sir. We had a legislative change this year that made a pretty great change to our program. It added a number of private colleges to the Alabama GI Dependent Scholarship Program. Previously, the program could only be used for public colleges here in the state of Alabama. With this legislative change, beginning June the 1st of this year, the new private colleges could also utilize the program. So we have had some students who have either applied to go to those schools or were already under our program and were transferring to that school. So we have done some training with those schools. We have reached out to them and provided them with the information. One of the largest changes probably to adding these private schools is that the private schools, every student who attends there will be treated just like if they had made application for the very first time in 2017 or after, even if they are transferred. Even if they are transfer students who had applied before that. I'm not sure if you're familiar with some of the law changes that have been made throughout the years. One of them in 2017 was to change the amounts that we could pay to the colleges. And with the private schools being added, they fell under that as well. And all students who attend their schools will fall under that criteria. So the way that it works, when they attend these private schools, we are the payer of last resort. Any grants and scholarships that the student gets are going to be used first towards their required education expenses. After that, the school bills us directly for up to $250 per credit hour for the tuition. And then we can also pay up to $1,000 for the combination of textbooks and instructional fees each semester. That does have to be for undergraduate courses. We are not able to pay for graduate level, but it is still a significant help to our program to give our students a little more flexibility on what schools that they can choose. And where they might want to continue their education. So we're really excited about those changes. It has gone very smoothly so far. We have not had a gigantic number of students transfer to those schools, which I really felt like was probably to be expected. I feel like here in the coming weeks, we will have more as we get closer and closer to the fall semester. June the 1st, was sort of probably halfway through a summer semester, so that made it difficult for a lot of students to really use it for the summer. But we do anticipate some growth as things go on. We are really looking forward to building the same type of relationship with our private schools that we have been able to form with our public schools. Sharon Williams, for example, there at Lawson, we have known her for many, many years. We won't discuss how many years that is. But, you know, she has always been so good to work with us and help us out anyway. And we hope that we've been able to do the same. I will, for anyone who doesn't know, she's also affiliated with the Alabama Veterans Affairs Association. A lot of our schools are, and they do have a conference each year that colleges attend, and our office is able to go in and finally get to meet with them, put a face with a name, and do some training with those schools. During the training that we did with the private schools, we encouraged them to look at the possibility of attending those AVAA conferences, simply because it's such good information, not just from our office, but just from a lot of different areas. And of course, they were also encouraged, if there is a different conference that they attend that they are affiliated with, and they feel like that we would be a good fit to come and speak to them, you know, in another area, we could certainly do that as well. So I think that we're off to a good start. I think the only rocky area that we had hit in contacting some of these private schools, they would tell us, you know, one area of the school was going to be able to handle that. And I think some of that has changed a little bit. But I think, as we all know, that happens at public schools too, just different employees handling different things at different times. But we are really excited about moving forward and getting to know those schools. Now, for anyone who is not familiar with the program, I will be glad to answer any questions about, you know, anything to do with the program, about, you know, how to qualify, how we pay, and about any of the changes with the schools, or anything else, if anyone does have any questions for me.
Hey, Kayla, what is the maximum amount for tuition and fees that you will pay at a private institution?
It's going to be the same thing that it's at your school, Sharon. You know, regardless of you know, we're going to be treating them the same way. So we're still payer of last resort. We can still pay up to $250 per credit hour for the tuition, and then up to $1,000 for the combination of textbooks and instructional fees. The difference is, you know, at your school, you have some students there who are legacy students or Act 177 students, you know, meaning they made application prior to that law change in 2017. Any student who even transfers to a private college, they're going to be treated as 349 students. That's the way they wrote that into the law. You know, so all of those students will be treated just, you know, with the caps and everything in place. But there's no maximum amount of hours that they can take. It's $250 per credit hour if they're taking 1 hour, or if they're taking 100 hours that semester. You know, it would still be, there's not a cap on the number of hours that they.
Any other questions?
You're on mute, Sissy Louise.
Say what?
Hey, Kayla. I can't see you anymore. Anyway, I've put this on. Anyway, what I'd like to know is, what about the lodging? Does the scholarship include lodging, or on-campus lodging, or off-campus lodging?
It does
Or is that
not.
different from different schools?
You know, it's actually not. We don't pay for lodging at any of the schools.
Okay.
It's just can be paid towards the tuition, textbooks, and instructional fees. If a college requires their students to live on campus, there are some colleges, especially that require their freshmen to live on campus.
Mhm.
And I know of at least one that requires their sophomores to also live on campus.
Mhm.
If that is the case, then they are able to use their other funding, any grants or scholarships that they had gotten. Those can be used towards lodging. But if it is not required by the school, they would not be able.
Okay.
But lodging has never really been a part of this program. It's just been strictly towards their education.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Kayla. Quick question from Dave, SSSVP. With the, is there anything allowed for online at a private school?
It is. The students can attend private schools, or public schools and do those online courses as long as it is a covered school. So, they can't do online courses through the University of Phoenix because that's not a covered school.
Right.
But if they're taking online courses through Faulkner University, that is a covered private school. So they could definitely take those online courses that way.
And in order to get it for another semester, is there a grade requirement in order to receive further assistance?
There is, but it's not just a grade requirement. All of our students have to meet satisfactory academic progress as defined by their school. So the school already has those rules in place about a GPA requirement. So if the school determines that they do not meet that GPA requirement, they do go ahead and contact us, and those benefits are suspended until the student meets that satisfactory academic progress at that school again, or if they transfer to another college that does determine that they meet satisfactory academic progress. So yes, those things are in place to make sure that we're being good stewards of state money, making sure that, we're trying not to be as wasteful as possible, making sure they are, held to a grade level standard. But those are, rules that were already in place with the school for satisfactory academic progress. It's the same rules that they would have in place, like if the student was getting a Pell Grant or even a student loan.
Okay.
So those applied across the board, and they let us know if they do not meet those, or if, they have appealed that decision and that has been lifted.
Do they have to be in a degree program, or can they get an individual, can they do like an individual course if they needed one?
As long as it is an undergraduate course, it is not an issue with us, but, they do have to have a FAFSA on file every academic year at the school. And if they are planning to use Pell Grant or something like that along with ours, that does require them to be a degree seeking student usually. But for our program, the maximum that we can pay towards is undergraduate degrees. So we can also pay towards, community colleges, getting an associate's degree or doing a technical certificate as long as it's for college credit. Like, if they're getting a technical certificate in welding, we're able to help with things like that as well.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have any questions for me? Okay, well, what I would love to do is just thank y'all for inviting me today. I have never gotten to meet many of you. Of course, Sissy Louise and Sharon Williams from Lawson, I know her very well. But I just wanted to thank all of you for inviting me here today to kind of give an overview of this law change. And of course, if you ever have any questions or there is something that we can help you with, always feel free to reach out. If you know of a veteran or dependent who is needing help applying for this program, they can visit their local county veteran service office, or they can contact our headquarters office directly, which is where I'm located, and we will be more than happy to help them with that application. One of the exciting things that we do have coming up, our application process is currently paper-based. Yes, like it's 1982, but it is paper-based right now. But we are currently working with a vendor who is building us an online application where they will do everything through our website, upload their needed documents, and it will be coming into us. So that is a really exciting thing that we have coming forward. We're hoping to implement that in January. We think that will be a huge help to our students as well. So hopefully as that goes through, they can also just be directed to our website to do the application as well. But certainly feel free to send any veteran or any student that you know of that may need help or, answered questions, helping them with the application. We will certainly be glad to do that at any time.
What is your phone number?
It is 334-242-5077. And if they're wanting to go into the county office, that information we have a wonderful place on our website where they can find their individual county on a map, and it will bring up their telephone number, their address, their hours of operation if they want to go in and see someone face to face to help with that.
Phone number got distorted. Could you say it one more time?
I apologize. It is area code 334-242-5077. That is the telephone number to our front desk. If they ask for education, we have 2 people that they can be transferred to, and sometimes possibly 3, depending on their situation. And we will be glad to help them at any time.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kayla. All of our presenters' contact information and web links, or in this case, there is a slide deck that was part of the email I sent out yesterday. So, Kayla, I would imagine now that we are spreading your phone number and email address throughout our base, you might be hearing more.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your
right, thank
time and
you.
your wonderful information.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Sarah, I'm going to ask your indulgence, since you are on site, if you would, to allow me to bump you back. Scott Powell, Executive Director with Alabama Head Injury Foundation, is also on our agenda. He is remote. He may have other business items that he needs to go tend to. So Scott, you have the opportunity to leapfrog Sarah if you would like to do that, sir.
I didn't hear Sarah's response, so I will offer a sincere apology to
she
her.
said, yes, Brian, but paybacks are you know what. So
Okay.
she'll pay me back.
As long as the payback goes to you, Brian, and not to me, then I can live with that.
You didn't raise your hand and ask for this. I did.
Okay. So feeling safe again. No, thank you. And I will try and keep it brief. I wanted to share because it's something that had come up in a different type meeting and wanted to bring it to this group to let you know that with the Head Injury Foundation, just as a quick refresher, obviously we work with about 1,600 traumatic brain injury survivors across the state of Alabama. And one of the recurring themes that we have heard from our clients and caregivers is the fact that, and it's extremely appropriate right now, probably too, with other stories that you see in the news, that a lot of times they, in interactions with first responders and in particular with police officers, that there sometimes is a misunderstanding in terms of the fact that even if they're just walking along the street, but maybe have a different gait because of their traumatic brain injury, or even in interactions, if they are slow to respond, if they are not focused on their eyes, that there is a suspicion that a lot of times that they may be under the influence of some sort of substance, and not just that it's due to the effects of their traumatic brain injury. So we wanted to try and find a way to deal with that. And so we came up with a twofold process. The first one is that we are offering the opportunity for anyone in the state of Alabama that has a traumatic brain injury and would like to actually order a TBI ID card that they can customize. And so I wanted to quickly share with you, it's a link off of our website, and I will put, the host has disabled screen sharing. I don't know how Kayla was able to do it.
Okay.
Hold on for 1 second.
Okay.
Ish has your back there, Scott.
I figured that Sarah had taken away my ability to do that as a way of getting even with me.
No comment, no comment.
Oh, okay. It looks like I'm able to do so now, so that is good. So this is the actual site off of our website. It's a direct link off of our website. So this is what the front and back of the card looks like. But you also can customize this by putting who you want to be your emergency contact, what their phone number is. You can choose bullet points up to 4 on the front of things that are specific to you as a result of your brain injury that you would like for people to know, so that if you're interacting with someone, just by presenting a card, that you can explain, I might be slow to, I might be slow to answer questions. I might get confused if you ask me too many questions. I might have a reaction to a lot of loud noise or bright lights. I might have an unusual or unsteady walk. Any of those type things you can put forward. And then on the back of the card, you can put some communication strategies for how you can better and more effectively communicate with you, in terms of being prepared to repeat yourself, speaking slowly, pausing to make sure that there's an understanding. So you can fill this out on the left-hand side, customize it for wherever you want it to be, and click submit. It'll come to me. I will put together a mock-up of it. We'll send it to you for your approval. Then I'll print it off as a card and mail it to you, and you can have it from there moving forward. In addition to that, we also know that that's one part of this, and it's great to be able to have this, but you also want to make sure that first responders know to watch for this. So we are also working with law enforcement offices across the state to actually do in-services for them as part of their ongoing mental health training, to actually make them aware of the fact that we're providing our clients with this card, so that if they see someone pull a card like this out, they'll know what it is, they'll understand initially what that means, and know to look at the card to get a better understanding of what some of the characteristics may be of someone as a result of their traumatic brain injury. So I will drop the link to that. It is currently in the chat. That's what you can send out to anyone that you think would like to have one of these. It is totally free. We'll send it to you. It's no cost to them. And that's pretty much what I've got. So I will pause and see if anyone has any questions for me, but otherwise, that's what I wanted to make everyone aware of.
Questions? Okay. Well, and I will include, next week, I'll send a follow-up email based on today's meeting and whatever else comes my way. And that will be included, Scott, with that email. That's good stuff for an awful lot of people. And it reminds me that Michael Malone, who is traveling today, but he's on the West Coast, and Michael is a retired Army colonel with TBI, and he is developing an app, Want to Remember.
Mhm.
And the way I see it, I don't have TBI. If I have PTSD, it's not from military service. But those two kind of go hand in hand, because I think what I've seen of Michael's app, he hasn't rolled it out publicly. As far as I know, he's still doing beta testing on it, but it's a wonderful app to help people remember appointments and how to do daily chores that don't have to be TBI, but Alzheimer's and all types of memory retention issues. Thank you, Scott. That's wonderful. Yes, Sissy Louise.
Scott, I had a quick question. Have you
ma'am.
reached out to like neurosurgeons across the state? I mean, they come in contact with a lot of these head injuries. And I know I have a daughter-in-law that works for one, and she would love to have this information to give to her patients and help explain, just to identify them and why they are reacting the way that they are reacting, and it gives credibility to what is happening to them.
It's an excellent idea. We had talked about doing it through neuropsychologists and also working out with our partners like at Spain Rehab, so that at the time of discharge, they can provide that. But I think the neurosurgeon route, because they will have follow-up visits over time with them as well. So I think it makes perfect sense. I think the more people we can approach to let them know about it, the more
Right.
likely we're going to be that people
Right.
have the card in hand, which is what we want. So that's a great idea, and we can move on that.
Well, the card is a great idea. Wow. Thanks again for doing it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you so much, Scott. Before we move on based on the agenda, I want to recognize one of our partners who also works with Scott and AHIF. She is based in Birmingham. She has just in the last few weeks returned from deployment. But Jen Odell, wait a minute, you threw me a curveball with your Jen Odell Miller is with us here at Lawson State. And Jen is a combat medic in the Army Reserves. Like many of us who have served in the military, her duties far exceeded her pay grade on deployment, as she was telling me a day or two ago. But Jen, come up here and be recognized. Thank you for your service. Don't be shy, because I am known to call on people like candid camera when it's totally unexpected. So come up here and take a bow. Thank you.
I know Scott is probably loving this because he takes every opportunity. So, hello. It's nice to see everybody. Nice to meet those of you in the room.
Thank you, Jen. Okay, now, April, can you stay with us, or do you have other duties you need to tend to?
I can stay, but mine will be brief.
Okay, Sarah, do I have? Okay, Sarah, let me bump her again. Go ahead, April.
Thank you, Sarah, so much. I spoke a couple of months
Whoa, whoa,
ago,
whoa.
so I didn't. Are you timing out me,
No,
Ron? Or, oh, okay.
I'm talking
Okay.
about the peanut gallery here in the conference room.
I got you. We can't see them. So hello, Peanut Gallery, and thank you this morning for letting us speak. My name is April Turner, and I'm the State Head Injury Coordinator, or the Traumatic Brain Injury Director for the State of Alabama Department of Rehab Services. And I do work, Scott is one of my partners, along with Jen, and welcome home, Jen. I didn't know you were back. And I just wanted to speak for a few minutes, letting you know and reminding you that we have this state TBI helpline. If you have anybody that you need to refer, professionals, survivors, anyone who has questions about TBI in our state, that number is 888, and I'll put it in the chat, 879-4706. We also have alabamatbi.org. I'll put that in the chat as well. We have what's called the Brain Map, which is a resource guide for providers here in the state of Alabama who help our survivors who have TBI. So if you need any of that information, we update those resources weekly on the website inside that guide. And the last thing, we have the Alabama Head Injury Task Force, and it has grown numerously. And we have different priority areas in the task force. We meet once every 3 months. And if you're a veteran, or you have a veteran that you think would help us on the task force or be interested in joining the task force, please have them call me. We would love to have more veterans' voices on our head injury task force. So that was all I wanted to say, and I'll put that information in the chat where you all can reach me or reach our resources, and have a good day. Thank you all.
Thank you, April. Appreciate that. Good info. And I will make a note right now to put a comment in there about you are seeking vet volunteers.
For the Alabama Head Injury Task Force. It's a statewide task force on brain injury, not necessarily traumatic, but brain injury. And we're doing a lot of great things in that task force. And people on the call here or in person are some of our chair people for some of those committees. And we're very active in progressing for individuals here in our state, progressing services, supports, advocacy, all of that. So thanks, Brian.
Thank you. Alabama Head Injury Task Force.
Task
right?
force.
Thank you. Okay, now we'll call upon Sarah Altman with Veterans Upward Bound. Sharon, come on up here, and you have the floor, ma'am. Finally.
Will I be able to screen share if I?
Okay. Let us screen share, please.
Good morning. Let me see if I can.
What happened?
I'm just going to bring up a couple of slides. Sorry, I should have sent these in earlier, but. Well, okay. All right. Like I said, I'm just going to share a couple of slides with you today. My name is Sarah Altman. I'm the Director of Veterans Upward Bound. We are a Department of Education grant. And we actually just finished, I was hoping by today I would have my grant notification for the next few years, but we have just turned in our grant at the beginning of June to be refunded for 5 years. One of the couple of you have heard my speech before, but couple of kind of updates on some things that we're doing. As was mentioned before about being able to do some online applications, that wasn't possible before COVID. So that's maybe one of the silver linings to some of the work that we're doing now. You can apply for our program online. Everything that we do is free and 100% funded by Department of Ed. And sort of our main areas, we're able to serve 10 counties at the moment. One of the exciting things that we have written into our grant is 2 new counties. So starting September 1st, hopefully when our new funding comes in, we'll be able to add Shelby and Clay counties. So that's really exciting. It's something we've been working for because we know we have some good partners in those areas that we really want to be able to serve the veterans that they work with. So we are based at Gadsden State, but we travel all over the place. So for example, down, Jefferson County is one of our biggest counties. And we will come to the veterans. So whether we can do it by Zoom, whether we can actually travel and meet them at a public library or something like that, we're willing to do that. So as far as sort of our services, we obviously our main goal being through Department of Ed is academic services. So we help with making sure that they can access their benefits. We can help them go to any school. So even though we're housed at Gadsden State, they don't really own us. We sort of pay some rent to live there. But we can help them. We have students that go to Northeast. We have students that go to UAB. We have students at Jacksonville State, all the way down as far as Central Alabama. So any school that they want to go to, even online schools. So if, we try to make sure that it's something that's legitimate and that really is going to get them the kind of degree or certificate or whatever it is that they're looking for. So academic services is the first one. We also do some computer skills training and remediation. So if they haven't taken math in a long time, or, as they were talking about with TBIs and things like that, if they've had some sort of injury and really kind of need to get back in the groove of being able to work, go to school, those type things, we can go at their pace. And again, everything in our program is free to them. So we try to make a plan based on what the veteran needs. Sometimes our veterans need lots of things. Sometimes they only need 1 or 2 things. And so we do all those things. So community support is really the other big part of our program, and that's where this group comes in. And just recently, we've been able to have a big success with one of our formerly homeless veterans. Sissy Louise, I'm going to call you out and say thank you for helping. She helped us with organizing with the vet center to get some furniture moved for one of our veterans who's just moved into an apartment. So some good things that go on. So we help coordinate some things like that as well. We work with the court systems, we work at rehabs and homeless shelters and things like that. 2/3 of our population need to be low income veterans and also first generation college students, or that their parents never went to college. So we're always sort of looking for veterans who need things and sort of reaching out to our partners, and not only through CAVC, but just in our different counties to make sure that they're connected to the stuff that is available to them. And then I just put some education data down here. This is, we try to keep about 80% of our veterans are retained annually, or they go into school, or they complete their program of study with us, whatever that is, whether that's computer skills or whatnot. 86% of the veterans who complete their education plans do enroll in post-secondary education. So again, that is our main lane. That's not the only thing we do, but we are looking for that. And 60% of our veterans who enroll in post-secondary graduate within 6 years. This is always a bit of a complicated number because we have veterans that, have lots of things going on in their lives. They have families, they have jobs, they have, so that's not the only measure of success, but it is one of the ones for our grant. And sort of the last little slide I have here, just to show you kind of the diversity of the students that we work with. So we have veterans, these all happen to be ones that started at Gadsden State. I was working on a project for our college president, so I just reused this slide. But as you can see, they, Deborah Tucker, she's moved on to JSU to work on a 4-year degree. Karen's working on a respiratory therapy at Jeff State. And Connie Dotson, she actually graduated and came back to Gadsden State as an instructor in one of our skills training driving trucks. So, and then Chris Moncrief, we also have other TRIO programs that once they leave us, we try to transition them into other support programs, whether it's at our school or at other schools. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Like I said, I appreciate our partners through this group. And if there's anything that we can help you with, please don't hesitate to call and reach out. Questions?
Yeah.
Our program is slated just for veterans, but we were just granted a new TRIO program, which is what our Department of Ed grants come from. And it works with dependents. So it's an EOC grant. It works with all adults, but one of their special categories right now is dependents. And UAB has one of those as well. So if it's outside of our EOC's area, we can hook them up with the one at UAB as well. So yes, we can help with that. Any other questions? No? All right. Well, thank you very much.
Sarah, would you send that file to me?
Sure, absolutely.
And I'll send it out.
Okay.
There we go. Let me get my. Well, I could do that once we get done with the meeting. I'll just leave it in there. All right.
There you go.
That is, in my judgment, an outstanding program that not enough people know exists. And I would encourage our partners, and I don't know how many are on Zoom. I don't see that. This is apparently a different version of Zoom than I personally use. But oh, okay. But updated this morning, Sharon tells me. But let's collectively let's collectively push this out when you get my email next week with the slide deck that Sarah used, and try to get more interest. And while I'm on that topic, Lawson State has some outstanding trade skills classes here at the Bessemer campus. I'm focusing on trades because if it's a college, you know, they teach academic subject matters and offer 2-year degrees in academic. What are they, AA? Well, but anyway, you offer a 2-year degree on academic subjects, but Sharon, I would invite you to spend 2 or 3 minutes and talk about some of the trades training programs here at Lawson.
Good morning. So we have 2 different types of trade programs. We have regular academic, and then we have the non-academic, which is taught on our training for industry side. We have been doing welding and HVAC and I mean, everything that's trade, EMS. We've done the training for Amazon on our non-technical side, on our non-industry side. And then on our regular academic side for technical, we have the welding, the HVAC, graphics and printing. We have auto body, automotive. We have Ford, General Motors, Toyota, and Mercedes. So, and basic automotives as well. And we have plumbing. So just depends on what you're interested in. A lot of those that's in our training for industry side, students are able to attend those with no cost to themselves for most of them. Their WIOA pays the cost for that. And then we have technical training funding as well. As well, dual enrollment students. We have, once your student hits the 10th grade, regardless of whether they're going to be using VA benefits or not after they graduate, we have a technical fund. We have a technical grant that will pay for them to take those classes. So a lot of our students, when they graduate high school, if they start when they're getting the 10th grade, only have a few more courses to take in order to complete that certificate degree in welding or HVAC or any of those programs. Plumbing is a really short degree program. So sometimes when they graduate high school, they finish the plumbing degree as well. But our training for industry is currently directed by Dr. James Gray. And he has spoken to this group before a couple of times, and I can share that information with Brian and get that information of what's coming up next. So our plans for the fall, I can give that information and we can share it with this group. For any regular courses, they can just, our students can just enroll in our regular courses, but these are quick programs to training for industry because that's the way they're designed. Questions?
Sharon?
Hi. Hey, sis.
Hey, how long are the non-academic courses or the trade courses? I mean, in general, is it like 6 months or something? Or?
No, none of those programs training for industries are 6 months. They're generally going to be 6 weeks to 9 weeks.
Okay, 6 to 9 weeks. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mechatronics. It falls not in the training for industry. It's our regular program. And it's actually in this building. If you guys want to run down and see our robotics program, that's what our mechatronics is. It's in this building.
And then Sharon, they receive a certificate of completion that they've completed this course.
They do.
Okay.
And they often have okay, Sis Louise asked if they get a completion certificate. When the training for industry programs, they do get a completion certificate. And often once a couple of those have finished, we have a job fair, mini job fair here on campus for that. And I just want to say, you asked about mechatronics, and it's actually run by a veteran. Rich Raymond is a veteran. Rich Raymond. Mm-hmm.
So technically they can come to you for the education piece of it for the non-academic, and you have the job fair.
Exactly.
Find a job too.
And get it, you're right. And we
Wow.
also have the ready to work.
Okay.
So if they finish that and then they take the ready to work exam, then that enables them to have one free class at any community college. If something just says they want some college experience, one class is considered college experience. So the ready to work program certificate allows them to take that one class up to 3 credit hours. That's what it will pay for. Any other questions? Thank you. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Sharon. Now, if I call on one service member in the room, I certainly need to also call on one in the room who is in uniform today. And I don't know his rank, but I know he's an airman because he is in the Air Guard. He's attached to the 117th wing here at the Birmingham Airport. Come up here, Nicholas, and tell us who you are and what you do with the Air Guard. I'm full of surprises this morning, folks. It's not optional.
Hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Senior Airman Nicholas Vadas. Like I said, I'm with I'm with the 117th Air Refueling Wing. So I'm a public affairs specialist normally. Right now I'm on orders with the Family Readiness Center. So I'm working as a single airman initiative coordinator, kind of working on some single airman events and really just kind of general stuff family readiness needs. That's pretty much all I got.
Okay.
So, yeah. So a little bit about education benefits that I do know. I'm a student at Gadsden State Community College. I've been taking 2 or 3 classes a semester. And I know the ANGAP covers all of my tuition. And I don't know if anybody's more familiar with it than I am, but the way it was explained to me was that it covers tuition, but it doesn't cover books or housing. And then it's also one that's kind of like a pay last type thing. So if I had scholarships or grants or anything like that, those would pay out first, and then it would pay the remainder of what was owed. So. Oh yeah.
We're going to ask for everyone's choices of all the different programs in the Birmingham area for our veterans or our military. We'll be able to send it out to all the Guard Reserve active duty in the state. And he's going to create that for us. That's where the project is going to be working on here. So we'll reach out to y'all, do an email to him asking for any information. It's going to be just a one-pager with little bullets and people can scan it.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. With Nick spending some time with the Family Readiness Program, I would submit that he has a marvelous mentor in Joy Miller. So we have 2 in the room, 3 including Nick in the room, who are connected with Family Readiness. And Joy Miller has been with the Air Guard 10 years. And if your vocabulary has Air Guard in it, you know about Joy. And we also have Lisa Gamble. Lisa is a personal financial counselor, PFC, which I don't use that acronym with her because it confuses service members with a private first class. But Lisa, come up here and talk a little bit about the blended retirement program. But Nick mentioned the ANGAP scholarship program. For those of you who may not know, that is a state of Alabama program funded through the legislature strictly for members of the Alabama National Guard, Air Guard or Army Guard, and it's a reimbursement scholarship. It does not pay in advance. It pays the school, right, but after you successfully completed your courses for the term, no? Okay, I just learned something because when I was trained on it, it was after the fact. Anyway, okay. That's great. Okay. Lisa Gamble, thank you, Sharon, for that.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Lisa Gamble, and I am the military financial counselor / coach for Central Alabama. I am purple, which means that I service active duty, guard and reserve, and retirees and Gold Star families. So my duty is to counsel and coach regarding financial issues. But what I want to speak about today is surrounding the blended retirement system. That is the new retirement system for the military. There are two in place at this point for those that are active duty and the guard and reserve component. The Legacy High 3 applies to those persons who were already wearing the uniform prior to 1 January 2018. Those people had the option to opt in to the blended retirement system, or they could stay grandfathered into the Legacy High 3. The issues that we're seeing at this point in time, and I hate to use the word glitch, but for those of you that are familiar with military pay, the DFAS system has a glitch in it. Yeah, just one that we know of. So the issues are surrounding pay and benefits. And for those that either opted into the blended retirement system or that because of when they join, they are automatically in the blended retirement system, we are seeing issues on their LES. And for those of you that don't know what that is, that's leaving earnings statement. And so that's what the military service members get. It's a pay stub. And so the issues surrounding blended retirement system for those that should be in the blended, there should be an automatic agency 1% going into TSP for them. And on the LES, we're seeing that as blank. The field is blank, which means they're not getting the agency automatic and they're not getting the agency match. For those that are in the guard and reserve, you may want to take this back to your unit and make them aware that for those that are already in, there are issues with the LES in that when they are changing status, in other words, if you're going from a drill status and you're going to a deployment, or you're going from a drill status and you're going to an AGR or a mil tech position, the system, the DFAS, is actually taking you out of the military and separating you and then bringing you back in. So if you were in the Legacy High 3 when you change status and you're taken out and brought back in, it's bringing you back in the blended retirement, which you may want to stay in the Legacy. So all of this is to be said so that you will check your LES, and if there are issues that you notify finance. Yes. Yes.
This is Dave Burford. All you soldiers and veterans out there need to keep your LES statements. I found out in the Social Security Administration while I was going to Afghanistan and Iraq, DFAS was not taking out FICA, was not taking out Social Security tax. When I discovered that and called DFAS and said, could I have the pay record so I can track this back? They said, we don't keep those. So digging in my voluminous file cabinet in my garage, I found my LESs. It was the only way I could prove that they had taken it out. I don't know what they did with it, but they took it from me. And that was the only way I could prove that. So hang on to your LESs, they're vital.
Yes. So you probably don't want to keep a hard copy, although I would encourage that. Most of us are going to scan something and store it in the cloud. It's my understanding that DFAS can only go back and pull pay records for 13 months. And the only way that you can prove that there is an error is that if you have an old LES that shows where your pay is correct, and then you produce a current LES that shows where there are errors, that is how we're doing the changes and making the corrections because we're having to do a pay inquiry with DFAS in order to get it corrected. So please don't think that checking your LES is a one and done. You need to check it frequently. And if there are issues, you can contact me, or you need to contact your finance that does your pay for your unit. So please contact me. There's other issues inside the blended retirement system, like continuation pay that soldiers and service members are eligible for at certain times during their career. And sometimes those dates are getting busted. If they get busted, they're going past the date, and DOD is denying those benefits to those soldiers and to the service members. So there's issues out there. We're aware of it. NGB, which is National Guard Bureau, and Department of Defense is aware of this. However, it's systemic across the force. So we are working with DOD and NGB to get these things corrected. However, it's still a work in progress. So I'll leave my contact information here. I've got business cards, so I'll leave those here on the table. If you have questions, please reach out and talk to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Great information for those of us who are in the Guard or Reserves or know people who are. I know when I was an Army Guard contractor, it was a full court press to brief soldiers on the blended retirement system, and it looks like perhaps the Pentagon pushed too fast. They okay. And Lisa's contact information will again be in the follow-on email next week. The clock says it's 11:30, but I have a couple of announcements to make before then. Is there anyone else, brief, and I mean very briefly, that has something good for the order this morning? Dave?
Just real quick, let me remind you that November this year, the Veterans Day celebration is the 75th anniversary of Birmingham celebration. It was a first in the nation, codified by Congress and Dwight D. Eisenhower. We're going to honor Medal of Honor honorees. There'll be lots of events that precede that, as well as the parade the day after the dinner. The vintage aircraft flyovers and some surprise guests in the parade that we can't confirm just yet, but it'll be of interest. So I'd encourage you to go to the website, nationalveteransday.org, look up the event, sign up for the dinner, and show up for the parade. And if you feel like sponsorship, there's several levels of sponsorship for tables at the dinner preceding the parade.
Thank you, sir. That info will also be in the newsletter. I would say that General Burford, serving his career in Special Forces, that included commander of the 20th Group, and he told me he had soldiers come from all over the country to serve in the 20th. Well, I'm going to go back to Jen Odell Miller. Where are you on here? Miller. Her reserve unit is in Chicago. So those of you who know members of the Guard, you may live in Birmingham and have to drill in Dothan or Scottsboro or wherever, but it's not Chicago. So that's a long commute.
In Alabama, soldiers follow the unit they'd like to be in. I had soldiers from 35 states and 2 foreign countries who flew to drill on a monthly basis on their dime. The Guard did not reimburse them for travel or lodging during the drill process, during drill weekend.
Talk about dedication and commitment.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
We are working with Ms. Fields on a career fair that's next Friday. And what we're doing here on the Bessemer Birmingham campus at 10 o'clock on the Birmingham campus, we're going to be doing career prep, resume prep, sort of like we did in 2019 at 10 on the Birmingham campus and at 4 on this campus. So that's July 21st. I'll send the flyer to Brian to include to everybody. But if you want to come and assist with that, Ms. Haley will be happy to have you. And hopefully and you can send anybody, it's a community effort. It's not just for Langston State. I thought Ms. Fields was gonna jump on and say that, so I was waiting, sorry.
Okay, Bob Horton, I keep thinking about the things that I know that aren't on the agenda, but Bob Horton, ADBA, outreach, something. I've asked him to make a few comments about an event in Tuscaloosa next month.
Thank you, Brian. Back in February, we launched the Alabama's Challenge for preventing suicide among our veteran service members and our families. And we held our first town hall in Dothan, Alabama, and followed it with a resources and job fair. We held our second town hall and resources and job fair in Mobile on May the 23rd. Our third town hall and veterans resources and job fair will be held in Tuscaloosa at the Shelton State Community College beginning at 2 o'clock on August the 10th. We partnered with the Department of Labor. We partnered with the Montgomery VA Regional Office, the Tuscaloosa VA Medical Center, and also our County Veteran Service Office in Jefferson County. On the day of the event, veterans and their dependents will be able to meet one-on-one with Veteran Benefit Administration representatives from the Montgomery VA Medical Center to apply for VA benefits. They'll also be able to apply for VA compensation and pension claims by meeting one-on-one with our county VSOs. And we'll also have healthcare professionals from the Tuscaloosa VA Medical Center on site so veterans can enroll in the veterans healthcare system. We're delivering the services to them instead of them having to come to us. We also will have approximately 80 employers on site to give job opportunities to our veterans as well. One other topic I want to announce is that on Saturday, the National New 988 Crisis Lifeline will be launched. The 988 will be taking the place of the current 1-800 10-digit crisis line number. That 10-digit number will remain in place, but the public and also veterans will have the opportunity to use that new 988 number. It's a comprehensive approach to responding to a crisis situation. There'll be a specific line that will be dedicated to assisting veterans when they dial that 988. It's a number to call. It's a person to respond to the call, and there'll be a place to go if the veteran needs follow-on crisis care. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention as well. Yes, sir, we are. So hopefully maybe the second or third week of August. Yeah. Thank you, Brian.
Two more short notes. There will be some changes coming to CAVC. You will be notified when they are finalized and implemented or about to be implemented. And it has to do with structure and we're going to redefine. The Leadership Council is undertaking a project to review and potentially redefine our mission statement. Lastly, I would say that sometimes I have found myself using an analogy, facing cats in a mouse field. Well, as I have told you in previous months, Dave Burford was working on a town hall for next week on military sexual trauma. Turns out that the panelists that he was working with that gave him commitments are the cats in the mouse field, and they are elusive. And we're going to table that one, at least for the time being. I don't know the future of it, but there are a lot of victims who might say, yes, we're willing to talk publicly, but when the rubber meets the road, they get understandably reluctant. So is that an accurate summary? So we will do what potential panelists that would really bring something to the table in that vernacular, have to offer if it comes to fruition. So, but next week's town hall is put on pause. So that's all I have. Final call for alcohol. Anybody have anything good for the order? Well, it's a euphemism this morning. Where are the Bloody Marys and screwdrivers there? Okay, my bad. I failed to ask Sharon to have that available. Thank you for your attendance. We stand adjourned. The meeting next month will be at Innovation Depot here in Birmingham. Appreciate Catherine Zobri making that available. That is not an ongoing site that we have available, but she did give us the opportunity, and I'm sure that there will be conversation about what is done at Innovation Depot. Wonderful program. Thank you all, and have a great weekend. Goodbye. Oh, congratulations to USA Softball. All right. Goodbye.